want to share something with you, a part of my story, because there's a good chance that because you're here, it may be part of your story too. When I first stepped into business, I had a passion, I had the skills, and I had a deep calling to help people. What I didn't have was a roadmap. So like many people in the wellbeing space, I started with heart and hoped that the rest would follow. And in truth, my business became chaotic. I was operating from fear and not from clarity. I wanted to grow, but I didn't know how. I worried about paying higher bills. I worried about whether more people would want my services. I was stuck and remained in that place for longer than I wanted or needed to be. I was staring in the face of the problem without knowing the next step. There were plenty of moments that I doubted myself, questioning my ability, wondering quietly whether I'd actually made a mistake, knowing that I had this brilliant business that I'd created, but it didn't have a solid foundation and it was just built on a wing and a prayer. What I didn't realise when I first started out was there's so much more to business, the skills that's required to run a successful business. I didn't even realise. I didn't even realise that we don't know what we don't know. The turning point when everything changed was when I decided to stop trying to do it alone. I finally invested in the right support, the guidance and the right business training. Everything shifted. It felt like someone had turned on a light in a room that I didn't even know that I was standing in. I learned new tools, it brought clarity, it brought momentum, and I began to feel far, far greater and more in control of my business. That support didn't just help me grow, it helped me thrive and paved the pathway for the rest of my business career. Over 4 decades, I went on to build 5 successful businesses from the ground up. And here's what I learned along the way, is that business is not built on luck or hustling, it's about structure, clarity and alignment. I know what it feels like to be deeply skilled in what you do and still struggle to make the business side work, to care so much about others you feel highly uncomfortable selling to them, to work hard and you earn inconsistently, to know that there's far more available to you, but you just don't know how to reach it. And I also know what happens when clarity arrives and confidence builds, and when the business that you once imagined finally starts to take shape. I created the Business Academy to give you the tools that I wish I had back then. Clear, practical tools, a grounded strategy, ethical ways in which to grow and sell your work, and achieving it all without pressure or burnout. Because passion alone isn't enough. We need structure, we need guidance, and we need support that understands both business and well-being. When you combine the heart-led calling you already have with the right solid business foundations, everything changes. My invitation to you, if you've reached a point where doing it alone no longer feels right, if your fear is disguised as overwhelm or self-doubt, if you know that your work matters and deserves to be seen and valued, then this may be your moment. The Business Academy is here to support you in designing a life and business that you truly desire, one that brings purpose, meaning and success to your life, financially, energetically and emotionally. A business that feels aligned, sustainable and purposefully driven and deeply fulfilling. Sign up below to be notified when the next intake opens. And if, as you're listening, something quietly within inside you is nodding, if you're recognising yourself in this story, take a moment now to register your interest. If you're here and listening is often a sign in itself. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't need to be ready. You simply need to be ready to take the next supportive step. So if this feels like the kind of support that you feel is missing, let's explore what's possible together.